Everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Couch GMs podcast. It is a Wednesday, November 26th, 2025. I'm your host, George Kurt, joined by the one and only Cody Roadcap. Happy Thanksgiving to you, and happy Thanksgiving to all of our listeners out there.
Absolutely happy Thanksgiving. This is a good time to check on YouTube as I click through the different Thanksgiving things that are available. Okay, we're back. We're talking football with the normal look.
I mean, we still have the fun background because you have to, right?
Exactly. I mean, I could go to Couch GM's orange because that's kind of a Thanksgiving color, but we'll keep it at this.
Sounds good to me. We'll be festive for the rest of the night. Obviously, Wednesday, not our normal night here, but because of Thanksgiving coming up tomorrow and the three games, we wanted to give you guys an update, a preview of that and the rest of the slate. So looking at the entirety of week 13 today, make sure you're catching us Mondays and Thursdays at 6:30 East on a normal week on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch to get our show and get your questions answered live in the comments. Or you can follow us at the Couch GMs, Facebook, X, Instagram, TikTok, to DM us with any questions or drop them in comments of some of our posts. And we're happy to help you out as we approach the fantasy playoffs. A lot of things to update, Cody. So why don't we see what is happening? Early in the week for a lot of the injury reports, so I'm just going to kind of throw some stuff out there today, and we'll kind of see, have to keep an eye on some things as we move through the rest of the weekend. But some games happening Thursday and Friday, we have a little bit of clarity. First off, in that nightcap, Lamar off the injury report, he's going to be good to go despite not practicing Monday. And the stage is set for Joe Burrow to return to face him in that night game, but no T. Higgins for the Bengals.
Yeah, I mean, it should be a fun nightcap. Ravens, Bengals, and essentially a must. I mean, the Bengals are a must-win now mode if they want a shot at making the playoffs. Luckily for them, the AFC isn't as deep, so if they can go on a win streak here and upset the Ravens, start gaining some ground back, they're going to need to do that, and they get Burrow back. But the no T. Higgins just means a lot of targets for Jamar Chase.
It does. But, I mean, I think there's been an underestimation of how much T. Higgins means to this offense in the past. There's been a lot of statistics that I wish I would have looked up before the show, but didn't remember until now, that, they are a much worse offense without T. Higgins in there. I think him taking the pressure off of Chase, giving defenses something else to look at really does make a difference. And we don't know if we're going to get full go Burrow, coming back for the first time in how long. Obviously, I don't think they would have put him out there if he wasn't ready, but still, rust can happen.
Yeah, I think he'll be up for this game. I expect it to be a good game, potentially best game of the week or the Thursday slate.
Definitely is a good game to throw on the nightcap. And both of the matchups between the Bengals and the Ravens last year were absolute shootouts. And maybe that won't be the case this year, but I would expect it to probably lean more that way than the other way.
All right. What do we got next?
Fan questions?
Sure.
All right. Trade deadline's up in a lot of leagues, but I'm thinking not so for our friend here on YouTube. Trade Swift and Daniel Jones for Bucky and Brian Thomas.
I think I just realized in our league of record that our trade deadline's up. I thought it was Friday.
It was Friday last week because Thanksgiving's late this year. There was
a
post that you must not have looked at.
Was on vacation.
Yep.
Commissioner should have texted me personally, but it's okay. Trade Swift and Daniel Jones for Bucky. Heck yeah.
Yeah. I mean, add in Brian Thomas, it's even better because, I mean, Brian Thomas hasn't been great. I'm not a big guy on Swift, and he's kind of losing the starting job. Bucky has a chance to be a league winner down the stretch.
Yeah, I do this. And I don't think Daniel Jones is that elite. I mean, there hasn't been, a lot of great quarterback play consistent from week in, week out. I mean, obviously Josh Allen had almost a 50 burger a couple weeks ago, but then followed up with a 9-point performance. So I don't think Daniel Jones has been good enough to be like, oh, I can't trade him. Like the streaming options we're going to talk about later will be just fine in this situation. So
yeah, you might have to play the wire and play the matchups down the stretch if you don't have somebody there with Daniel Jones, but I think it's worth it to go get Bucky and the shot at Brian Thomas.
Yeah, for sure.
One more question. Trade Dowdle for Trevion Henderson. Now, I know Henderson had a big step down when they brought back Ramondre, but the carries were still there, and that's the important thing to me. So I'm doing yes on this one as well.
Yes. Sorry. I read it as like, yes, I would do that. If I'm the Dowdle owner, I'd rather have Henderson.
Yeah, and Dowdle's been great, but I think the magic of Dowdle from earlier in the year is starting to fade off, and they're going to keep working in Chuba a little bit, and they're not the best offense. So,
I mean, I think Dowdle is still going to be the lead guy that we've seen, but even this past week we saw against the Bucks, which they're a hard team to run on, especially up the middle where Dowdle has shined since they have Vita Vea. He had a little bit of a step back, but I just think there's so much more upside with Henderson.
agreed. I agree with that. And then just for context, the other one, it's a 2 QB league. He's trading away Daniel Jones, but he has Allen Lamar, so even more of a slam dunk.
Yeah, that's an incredible pairing. Like, how did you do that?
First 2 picks. I mean,
how do you get them?
They would both go in the first round pretty high up in a normal 2 QB.
In a super flex league, they're 2 of the top 3 picks.
It's true. So either you're drafting some people that have never played 2 QB, or you made a good trade earlier in the year.
So, all right, back to what's happening.
All right. Injuries. Baker Mayfield, who left early in that game, that night game last weekend, he is a DNP Wednesday. There's optimism he'll go this week, but very unclear. It seems like because it's non-throwing shoulder, it's a pain management issue, and we'll see what they decide to do with him. Bucky Irving should be back this week. I feel like I've been saying this a lot, though, so I don't really want to speculate this early in the week, but he has logged, I think I saw 5 straight limited practices. So good news there.
Yeah, and even if he's not even if he's worked back, the good news is he is getting closer to return. Like, I think it's a similar situation, and it's probably on our list a little bit, so I'll just tie it in. Omarion Hampton, his practice window open, and they haven't even ruled him out for this week. He probably won't play. But now I kind of look at those 2 players kind of on that same timeline as, even if they go this week, it might not be their full workload. And, a week or 2 from now, and like you mentioned with that trade earlier, getting them as potential league winners down the stretch for both those guys. That's kind of where my mind is at with both Bucky and Hampton at this point.
Yeah, hopefully you don't need them to try to make a playoff push in the last 2 weeks of the regular season, but love both of them in the fantasy playoffs if you get into there, and I think they'll be up to speed at that point. It's a nice time for these guys to be coming back with 2 weeks left. They have that week or 2 to, get through that game, get the coach's confidence, and then hopefully they're full go by the time week 15 comes around.
Yeah, I like that.
Other quarterback news, we have Aaron Rodgers, CJ Stroud, and Jackson Dart all expected back this week as well. So just wanted to touch on those 3, and I'll let you comment if you want. If not, I'll move on to receivers. All right, Brian Thomas, who we had mentioned in that trade a couple minutes ago, he was a limited participant. There's a chance he's back this week. Jags seem like they're kind of taking it easy on him, so there's a chance even he's also activated but doesn't play his full workload of snaps, with someone like Parker Washington been filling in decent.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to put it, and hopefully he does get back. Because, the Jaguars, they squeaked out a win. They have a really good matchup against Tennessee this week, so you'd love to have Brian Thomas there. But if not, Parker Washington can continue filling in nicely.
For the Friday game, Devontae Smith has not yet practiced this week. I know he's dealing with a chest and a shoulder injury. I wasn't worried when I heard it on Tuesday, but Wednesday also DNP. Very up in the air, and I'm not really recommending going out there and getting anyone else in the Eagles passing attack either. So
no Jahan Dotson is what you're saying?
No, I don't think that passing offense has enough upside for me to grab someone that's not like a Devontae Smith, A.J. Brown. I do think it means a big A.J. Brown game if Smith doesn't go, though.
Hopefully, and the good news is, I don't know why I said hopefully, but the good news is it's the Friday game. So obviously this week you'd miss 3 games because of the triple header on Thanksgiving Day. But you have Friday to pivot to the Sunday slate if you've been relying on Devonta Smith.
Exactly. Terry McLaurin, he's popped back up as limited. I know he hasn't played a whole lot. He was been decent in the very limited time he has played. Definitely keeping an eye on injury reports to see if they expect him to be back. It's very early to speculate on that one. I don't really know what kind of advice to give on him if you'd want to throw him right back in. The last time he came back, he was thrown right in the fire and it worked. He just got hurt again.
Yeah, I mean, this week, there's no bye weeks. You've been without him. If he's not 100%, I don't know if I'm going to roll him out there, especially if they don't get Jaden Daniels back, which it doesn't sound like he's going to play this week. It sounds more like a week 14 return. So with him and Mariota, I think I would wait a week for Scary Terry.
Exactly. Moving to Atlanta, we're not expecting Drake London to be back again this week. Obviously, chance he does go. That Falcons offense kind of proved me wrong last week when I said Kirk was cooked, and then he came out and had a decent game. But with the full slate, hopefully you have somebody who you can put in there. But if he does go, he's been good enough. I think you have to put him in your lineup.
Agreed.
Marvin Harrison popped up as a limited participant. First time he's practiced since his appendix surgery. I would imagine he jumps right back in as the number one. But Michael Wilson has taken a lot of targets since Marv's been out. Are you concerned about Marv coming back with somebody who's been successful there now?
Nope. I'm not concerned. I'm so not concerned that I started Marvin Harrison last week. Forgot he had his appendix taken out. Or maybe it was 2 weeks ago after the first. I don't remember. But I'm still not concerned. I might have played him 2 weeks in a row. No
In
appendix.
a dynasty, I'm assuming?
Yes.
Some of those lineups are hard to get to. I will give you that. I played Ricky Pearsall 2 times while he was out this whole last time too.
So,
but, I mean, 2 and 10 first overall pick. It's working.
I played him the week. I think it was the week that, or so I guess that was 2 weeks ago now. The appendix out of nowhere. Unfortunate. Life happens. Forgot he was in that lineup. Anyways, played him in a game for first place in our division. Squeaked out the victory by a couple points. Would have been better if I didn't play. If I would have played someone else on my bench, but it all worked out. So if I could play him when he's out with a bad appendix, I can play him off of a limited participation.
With that passing offense having taken the strides that it has with Brissett, there's still a chance that like Marv can go back to at least some of the success he's had in the past, a few games that he's played, getting that like 10 to 15 points, and you can still get a sustainable Michael Wilson too. There's a world where that's possible now. I don't think that was possible back when they were playing at the beginning of the year the way they were with Kyler.
Yeah, that's a good point. You want to do a fan question?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So Lamar or Burrow in a 6 points per touchdown league. And then also second part, which wide receiver would you play? As of now, I have Ibuka in if Mayfield plays, but if he doesn't, I would go Jefferson or Sutton over him non-PPR. So let's start with
that Jefferson's so far down here. I'm sorry. It's just sad.
Yes. With that said, let's start with the quarterback situation. Because for me, I know Lamar's banged up. I know he hasn't been running as much. Burrow's coming off the injury like you talked about. I think he'll be okay, good to go, locked in. But I still think with the rushing ability, the chance for a rushing touchdown, I know they're 6 points, even in 4 point leagues anyways. I think I would lean Lamar. And just the Bengals defense is, I mean, the Ravens defense has been good, but they're not the Bengals defense. So that's how I would go on that one.
Yeah, and I think if you break this out into like smaller chunks, like the Ravens defense on the season's been bad, but the Ravens defense in the last month has been pretty good, at least middle of the pack or slightly better. So because of that, recency says play Lamar even if he's not fully healthy because he has the much better matchup. And I don't know how much I trust Burrow coming off the injury if I have another solid option. If I don't have another solid option, I don't think Burrow's a bad play. But in this case, I'd go Lamar.
And then for the Sutton, Ibuka, or Jefferson one, I think Jefferson's kind of out for me just because of how bad McCarthy has been. Although it also does sound like it might be Bosmer. But
it doesn't really help you either, though.
It could. I mean,
That's how bad nine's been.
It can't get much worse, I guess is the best way to put that. But it gets to play that tough Seattle defense. So since you have the flexibility, like I'm not like over here advocating for sit Justin Jefferson, because at any given day he can go off for 10. If they feed him like Joe Flacco did for Jamar Chase those first 2 weeks of him starting, like it would be, he'll still get his points and he's still capable of doing that. But if you're playing the matchup system here, Denver has Washington, which is a really good matchup for them on Sunday Night Football. So in that case, you would know if Baker is going to play. I expect him to. So I think I would still lean Mbuka against the Cardinals, but I think the pivot if he doesn't, because I'm with you. I don't. He's been good. I don't know if he's Teddy Bridgewater good. I'd pivot to Sutton against Washington.
Yeah, I agree with you, and it stinks because Mbuka hasn't been as good lately either. But if Baker's in, going to Mbuka. If not, pivoting Sutton.
Sweet.
You mentioned already Omarion Hampton with his practice window opened. We'll keep an eye and see if he is going to go. I think that it would be nice to have him back in your lineup, but I think we're just kind of more monitoring it to see if Vidal is a potential flex option this week or not.
Yeah, and I think you could even see one of those situations where if Hampton does go this week, Vidal still might out-snap him, out-carry him as they work him back. I mean, the Chargers are in a prime playoff race. They're not going to want to rush their rookie running back. That could give them an extra bump as we move into the final quarter of the season. But Vidal might have been a guy that was even cut in a lot of places because of the Hampton news with waivers yesterday. So maybe, you want to pick him up now just as a security blanket until Hampton is for sure back.
It's true. And I mean, I'm not saying he's going to be fantasy startable, but Vidal's not going to just disappear because Harbaugh likes having two backs in his backfield to be able to spell. They're a run-heavy team, so you can't give all those carries to one back. So you're still going to see some Vidal even when Hampton's back up to speed. But it should be Hampton's to go probably in a week or two this week. I agree with you, probably a split. Isaiah Pacheco is expected to return for the Chiefs in their Thanksgiving game against the Cowboys. That backfield's a mess. I don't want to touch it.
I mean, the only thing about it was Kareem Hunt got 30 carries last week.
Do you think he's the starter now, even if Pacheco's back?
I think, Pacheco's probably not back next year, although they have CEH back on the practice squad that they called up. So who knows with that team and their, faithfulness to their running backs. But I think I'd feel better about playing Kareem Hunt after he got a workload like that, even with Pacheco back. But it's also the Chiefs, so you never know.
Exactly. And they still haven't run the ball that effectively that if it means more of a split or even if Pacheco jumps back in, it's no guarantee he's going to be a slam dunk start every week either.
Exactly.
You might have a little bit more insight on some of these Packers notes. I saw Josh Jacobs expected to return this week, and Jaden Reed is actually getting close.
Yeah, so Josh Jacobs is off the injury report, good to go for Thursday. So I would not play Emmanuel Wilson. Since he's going to go there, I expect him to. It always sounded like he could have potentially played on Sunday, but they wanted to give him a few extra days, especially with the short turnaround. They didn't know how the knee would respond. So get him in this game. He has the 10 days to recover. Jaden Reed is close, but he was not activated today, so he'll still be on IR, which makes sense. Next week, probably, gets him the opportunity, but he's back practicing. Matthew Golden, also questionable as we go into this game, so it could be another game without Matthew Golden. Not that you were playing him for fantasy, but Christian Watson has looked pretty good the last couple of weeks.
Christian Watson has, in fact, looked good last couple of weeks, and he's kind of starting to jump Romeo Doubs as the number one option so far, at least when it comes to targets, routes run, etc. He's been actually higher than Doubs lately.
Watson's really good, man. I know his first play as a rookie, that drop has because that's what a lot of people remember him as, and then the injuries from the fantasy community. But when healthy, he is a really good player, and I just hope he can stay healthy and keep making an impact.
Sneaky waiver ad if he's still out there, because you never know if he goes on one of those runs like he did 2 years ago when he was popping 20 points a week off and you have him in your flex position for the fantasy playoffs. He potential league winner. I know that's a wild one, but like we've seen crazier things happen.
Yeah, that run 3 years ago, my dynasty league team that was like full rebuild mode, that kind of got hurt a little bit because of the Justin Fields, Christian Watson epic 4-week stretch that I couldn't lose.
You
And
played some spoiler when you didn't want to.
And then I ended up being like just missing the playoffs, getting the middle of the round draft pick, and it like almost put the rebuild in pause. But that was a fun time, and hopefully Christian can get back there for sure.
We will see. Final bit of news I have on here: Alvin Kamara likely to miss time with his knee injury. It wouldn't be shocked if the Saints hold him out a little longer than they have to anyway, just because they're not in any kind of race. Yeah.
Yeah, and I know Neal was the big pickup this week. You're not going to convince me to put him in a starting lineup on a week that there's no buys. So if you got him, good. Congrats. Maybe he'll prove me wrong. But that's not like I'm a league winner now, or I'm a win this week now kind of.
I don't think there's anyone on the Saints that's a, slam dunk. I'm going to score 20 points a week now. If he was that good, he would have been getting carries to start with. And Kamara already wasn't in a lot of starting lineups. He was kind of a bye week fill. Some people had to play him when you're weak at running back, and you probably could have done way worse. But I doubt there's a lot of people that are pressed to play Neal, even if they got him to fill in, Kamara's spot on their roster. Or if you did add him as he was the best option that was left to fill in a bye week, or I shouldn't say bye week, fill in a flex position because you're like weak with injuries or something this week. I think you can convince me to play him in a flex if you're desperate, but he's pretty far down that list.
Yeah, I'm with you.
All right. Why don't we hop in now and do some starts and sits of the week? All right, as always, we have a running back, a receiver, and a flex each. The flex does not necessarily have someone in the flex position. It is just either a running back or receiver, or if you really want to get crazy, a tight end. No buys this week, obviously, with the Thanksgiving holiday. Made this one a lot more straightforward, at least for me, but I don't know about for you. Tell me what you got, Cody, at running back.
I'm expecting to get roasted on TikTok when you throw these shorts up, because I'm either overthinking this, getting too cute because there's no buys and whatnot. But at my start of the week, give me Travion Henderson. I know he had a little bit of a down week this past week, but he gets to play. Why am I blanking on the Patriots? It is a very good matchup. That's all I remember. The Giants.
Notes. Oh, yeah. Okay, you're good. Very soft landing spot for him after he had a rough week last week.
Yeah, so I'm back on. I'm still on the Travion train, and I think he can still be in your lineup.
Yeah, I think people obviously were way on the train, and you said him because it's like, this might be the last week I can put him on here. And then people backed off because they're like, Stevenson came back and the production went down. But if you look at it, the carries didn't. So I like the reminder. Keep him in your lineup. You're all good. I'll do my running back, and then we'll hit a fan question after. I've got Travis Etienne versus the Titans. Now, I know Bashal Tutin's been taking a couple of carries there. Etienne's still been the primary guy, and the matchup is great, so I don't really have much else to say.
Yeah, I was going to pick him, but I thought that was too obvious for a start. So,
I mean, Travion, if he goes back to 2 weeks ago, is too obvious for a start. I don't know. You and I are going to get roasted for it. It's whatever, but that's why we have people asking specific questions.
That's better.
Pick one of Romeo Doubs, Kayshon Boutte, Chris Godwin, and Aaron Jones in a full PPR.
Oh, buddy. Oh, buddy. Buddy.
This is your reminder to hit like. Thank you so much, K-Space. I gave Cody a second to think because he's going, oh, buddy.
Yeah, because that one's tough. Like,
yeah.
I'm. Is it crazy that I'm leaning Boutte?
No.
I was trying to look and see what Chris Godwin did last week. I know Jameis got hurt, which didn't help in his first game back.
Wow, you're going way back in Tampa.
Sorry.
Baker.
Baker got hurt.
Very similar personalities.
I don't even know if they have
No,
there's
you're
no
right. Jameis
similar
is.
person.
They're both
One of
very
one.
outgoing, but Jameis is one of one. You're right.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think I would go Booty because it is the Giants.
Yeah.
I mean, the Giants they've played teams tough the last couple of weeks since they just haven't gotten the victory. I mean, they took the Lions to overtime. It was a fourth quarter late interception against the Packers the week before that. Romeo Doubs the Packers just don't throw the ball enough for them to have those guys, so I think you're kind of chasing a touchdown with Romeo Doubs. But Booty has been inconsistent, and then Godwin didn't show much last week when he came back.
Godwin hasn't showed much all year. I mean, he only played 2 weeks earlier in the year and then was out for a while again, but still, that makes it even more sketchy. I'm leaning Booty as well, and I get it's probably a boom or bust play, but I mean, everyone in this group is pretty much touchdown dependent, and I didn't touch much on Aaron Jones, and I'm going to touch more on him later, but I'll just give you the spoiler. He's my sit of the week at running back, so I'm not going to tell someone to play him in that case.
You know what? I'm going to switch it to Dobbs as my pick. Okay. I think he has the best chance to score a touchdown. The Lions did just give up 500 yards, whether it was a trap game because they were looking ahead to this one, whatnot. They gave up the 500 yards. He's been the more consistent wide receiver. It's full point PPR. He'll probably get, 7 targets or more this week. So, again, I don't love it, but I would probably go Dobbs.
I think I'm still sticking with Booty, and I know it wasn't a great return from injury last week, even though it was a good matchup, but he's still getting the snaps. I think I also saw he still got 7 targets. I think he's got just as much of a shot to get a touchdown as
Booty
does.
Booty hasn't had 7 targets since week 1. He had 2 last week. Missed 2 weeks. Was 1 the week before.
Next-gen stats is throwing me a dirty one here.
Just what I'm looking at. Maybe it's wrong there. But yeah, after that 3-week stretch, week 6, 7, 8, then he got hurt and then he missed 2 games. And then he didn't have a great game last week. So
who has the better floor?
Dobbs.
That's where I'm thinking. So if you want to play floor, if you think you're in a good spot and just want somebody to get you a couple points and still have a boom shot, I'd say Dobbs. I think Booty has the better boom potential.
Yeah. Dobbs hasn't caught a touchdown in a couple weeks either, too. So
since Watson's been back, which I mean could mean he's due, could mean that it's Watson, and I'm personally leaning it's Watson. So
all right, who's up?
You at receiver.
Me at receiver?
Yeah.
All right, this one was pretty freaking tough for me. I'm not going to lie on who to pick as my start because I didn't know how high I could go. I kind of talked myself into the Cortland Sutton when we talked earlier, but then I remember Troy Franklin has been a guy that has been up and up, and I don't know if I trust Bo Nix enough for more than a quarter. So I'm just going to take an extra flyer. It's Thanksgiving week. I'm being thankful. I'm going to take a flyer on Chris Olave. It's a great matchup against the Miami Dolphins. He is still getting peppered with targets. Last week, he had 9 catches for 70 yards. The week before that, he had 8 catches for 104 yards, 5 catches on 8 targets for 104 yards, excuse me. And it's a good matchup. So let's take a flyer on Chris Olave.
He's been fine. So I don't hate it because his floor weeks are around 7-8 points. He scores over 10 most weeks. He booms when he gets a touchdown most of the time. So yeah, I think you're good with that pick in a good matchup. I like it.
All right, who's yours?
Mine might be a little bit more wild, but I'm going with the only healthy receiver left in Buffalo in a matchup against the worst team against the pass in the league right now, and it's Khalil Shakur against Pittsburgh.
No Brandon Cooks first game breakout?
No Brandon Cooks first game breakout. Let's talk about Brandon Cooks maybe when we get later, but I don't know if I'm ever going to be comfortable enough for him to be in a redraft lineup the rest of the season. Maybe convince me in some DFSs unless he really booms in the next few weeks. But for now, I'm going all reliable Khalil Shakur. He's not special. He's not flashy, but he does things.
I like that.
It's kind of the same as Olave's been, honestly.
Yeah, for sure. So, and there's no buy, so it's like it makes it hard to figure this out for sure. But that means I am on for my flex, which surprise, surprise, I'm going to the wide receiver position as we do this, and I'm going to the Kansas City Chiefs. I know Rashee Rice practiced in full the last 2 weeks, and he is off the injury report. But with the Kansas City Chiefs playing those Dallas Cowboys and that defense, my boom, high upside, flyer player is Xavier Worthy. And that's who I'm going to put in my flex start.
I mean, he's been way overhyped so far this year, especially since Rice has been back. But something to me also just feels like he's got a shot to get that 60-yard touchdown this week, and that's all you would really need to make it a solid play. And I mean, he did have 59 yards last week. It wasn't like he was a flop. He just wasn't great.
Yeah, that's the part about it. It hasn't been great, but give me an Xavier Worthy high upside, your deeper leagues, maybe you're dealing with injuries. I wanted to throw a name out there that didn't feel as obvious. That's where I'm at with him.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And mine is a lot more obvious, so I appreciate you for going bolder. And I mean, I guess what I would consider my not as obvious guy was Khalil Shakur, I third receiver. Could have flipped him, but mine's Jalen Waddle versus New Orleans. I know a lot of people were probably playing Waddle regardless. He's been pretty solid since Tyreek Hill's been out, but yeah, he did have a bit of a flop with like a 6-point game before the bye, at least in half PPR 6-point game. But good matchup, good rebound. Dolphins are still playing hard for McDaniel, and I think that's going to continue.
Want to move on to sits?
Let's do it. Who do you have at running back? Again, we'll do running back, receiver, and flex.
All right, running back. I'm going Javonte Williams. That second game on Thanksgiving. Maybe it's just of watching the Chiefs shut down Jonathan Taylor. I know he has had 2 slow weeks now, but he was pretty well held in check. I think the Chiefs are able to do that to Javonte Williams. No buys this week. I think there's a lot better options out there. Hopefully you got them, and that's why he's my sit.
I agree so much that I had him in my flex, so I'll make a swap because.
I did not see that. So.
Nope, you're good.
Suck.
Keep him. I normally steal from you, so you take him, and I'll figure out a flex while we keep going. But 100% agree. Like Kansas City's defense has been stingy, and Javonte was actually a lot more touchdown dependent than we thought at the beginning of the year. And now that they're not coming in as much, you're kind of seeing the difference. But he's been okay. But this feels like a potential bust game for sure.
All right, and you already hinted at this one earlier, but who is your running back start of the week?
Running back sit of the week. I got you.
Yeah, sorry. Thank you.
Aaron Jones versus Seattle. He's been fine also since his return. It's just the offense around him has been failing him. And then pair that up with a bad matchup against Seattle. I don't care which quarterback's in. I don't really feel comfortable playing anybody on that Minnesota team right now. Throw in Jordan Addison. There's cases I'd sit Justin Jefferson. We just talked about one of them earlier. But Aaron Jones especially, avoiding it if I can.
Yeah, and they're still kind of in a split, and I would honestly think this game could feature a lot more Jordan Mason. Like, this might be a game just because of the quarterback situation and how explosive the Seattle Seahawks offense has been, that it turns into one of those, like, they're just going to try to keep themselves in it. One of those games where each team gets 2 possessions per halftime or per half because they're just able to, there's run 3 yards, run 3 yards, run 3 yards, QB sneak 4th down. I know that sounds like an Eagles thing. They probably wouldn't go for it on 4th down if they were the Minnesota Vikings, but a game like that. It just feels like a slower paced game. I think they're going to work in a lot of Jordan Mason this week. So I like the Aaron Jones sit as well.
Appreciate that. What do you got at receiver?
At wide receiver, this is kind of a guy that has fallen off a decent amount. Early season, darling, but I'm going to go Roma Dunze against the Philadelphia Eagles. They have a decent matchup for fantasy wide receivers. Part of that is because they keep the ball away, they keep low scoring games and whatnot. But Odunze has struggled. I mean, he'd get 9 targets last week, but only saw 3 catches. 6 targets the week before, only 2 catches. He put up a goose egg 4 weeks ago. So at least he scored against the Giants, but still was only 14 points. So it's been a tough stretch here for Roma Dunze. I think that continues against Philadelphia.
Yeah, I agree, because at this point, if you had to say who is the number 1 receiver on the Bears, it's still got to be Odunze. I think he has a better shot of drawing Quinyon Mitchell than, DJ Moore, who's going to play in the slot and move around too. But I debated saying sit DJ Moore in one of my spots, so I don't really like either of them.
Yeah, I mean, DJ Moore, he had a really good game last week. He had a good game against Cincinnati, but he's
wrong.
What's that?
Because I said to sit him, so he proved me wrong.
Oh, gotcha. It was one of those times where we were both talking and I couldn't hear what you were saying.
My bad.
That's all good. It's the lovely power of doing this over the internet.
Yes, it is. One day we'll be able to do this in person a lot more frequently, but for now, it's special while we do.
I think it's up to you, though. I think you got a wide receiver.
Yes, sir. And between the potential Terry news and playing with the backup quarterback and playing against one of the best pass defenses in the league in the Broncos, I'm sitting Deebo Samuel this week.
All right. I do not mind that one, but we are going to play a game of help me set my lineup.
We need a bumper for that.
So
we should just drop it in.
I'm looking at my flex spot here.
Okay.
Deebo Samuel, DJ Moore, double tight end playing Mark Andrews.
Who's your first tight end? I'm just curious.
Trey McBride.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's not going anywhere. Cool. Wow. You see, it's interesting with Mark Andrews because, like, some weeks it's like, here's the deep ball to DeAndre Hopkins, Zay Flowers gets his, and the tight ends just don't get touched anymore, which we're not used to in Baltimore, but that's kind of how it's been this year. And then all of a sudden, Mark Andrews takes a fake tush push to the house, and then we're like, oh, look at that. With that being said, like, I still think I might even lean double tight end Mark Andrews here because the matchup is prime. Something about when the Ravens and Bengals get together, all they do is score points, and the matchup agrees with that too. And I just don't like DJ Moore, and I just don't like Deebo.
Okay. Second part of this question.
Oh, no.
Because it's a 2-flex league.
Oh, good.
Deebo Samuel, DJ Moore, Jordan Addison, or triple tight ends, Juwan Johnson.
I so want to say triple tight end because that would be absolutely hilarious, but I think that's the point where I would go Deebo.
Okay. I haven't decided yet, but that's my World Cup team right now. So
ooh, you're with no buys, you're scraping it along. The fact that you own 3 tight ends is impressive enough because this dude doesn't want to play with tight ends. And he has McBride, but he's got 3?
Because McBride's bye week, I had Johnson, and then somebody dropped Mark Andrews. So I'm like, well, I'm going to pick him up. So
I guess I can't blame you about adding Mark Andrews. He's got the upside in a double flex. Sometimes a tight end makes sense. This might be one of those cases.
So, fan question?
Let's do it.
All right. Would you start Javonte or Travis Etienne? Etienne, for sure. And then
Etienne.
Bowers or Tet McMillan. That one is not as easy. However, I think I would still, in that situation, go with Tet McMillan. The Raiders, are just bad, and they have the Chargers, who have a pretty good defense. So I think I would lean on playing Tet McMillan against the Rams, who also have a good defense, which that one stinks, but maybe the West Coast coming east at 1:00 will help them out.
What about East Coast going west, Cody?
East Coast going west, that doesn't matter.
That's what to say, because I've thought it a couple of times when like he's so worried about the West Coast coming east at 1, but whatever happens if it goes the other way. I think your safer floor is Tet, and I think their ceilings can both potentially be the same. We've seen big games out of Bowers, but I mean we saw 29 points out of Tet 2 weeks ago. So I'm playing the floor with Tet and hoping that he booms if the other does.
Alrighty. Whoa. How did I do that?
Oh, it's been up there for a while. I thought you did it on purpose.
No, I just noticed it.
Yeah, there's a switch at the top of the comments. That's how you did that.
I hit spacebar when I had to cough, and it didn't work. So that's probably what happened.
Okay, well, Cody enjoying finding out new things about the streaming software, while it's also his turn to talk about his flex sit.
All right, this is just doing random things, but I'm going to sit Michael Pittman against the Houston Texans because that defense has been so good. The Colts have not been as explosive offensively the last couple of weeks. I know Michael Pittman has still been getting his, but he hasn't scored over 10 points the last 2 weeks. I think that trend continues this week against a very tough matchup.
I think he squeaked 10 last week because he got a touchdown, but I mean, it's very concerning that his last 2 weeks he had 19 and 27 yards for sure. He's been very good before that. It was sad to see the drop off, but Houston in a tough matchup and a guy who's been struggling, I cannot argue with the sit, and I just hope it affects him more than it affects Jonathan Taylor for selfish reasons.
All right, who do you got?
My flex sit was going to be Javonte Williams, but Cody went ahead and snatched him, so I'm going to go over to Detroit, and I'm going to sit David Montgomery against the Packers. You mentioned earlier on Monday about how the Packers are good against the run, how they actually really held down the Lions in their week 1 matchup. Even Gibbs did not get, I think, got 10 half PPR points, and a lot of it was catches. He had 10 catches. Dave Montgomery was basically non-existent. I wouldn't be shocked if a similar timeline comes through here where Montgomery doesn't get a lot of traction, and if Gibbs gets traction, it's going to be through the air.
Yeah, I think Gibbs is going to get his work through the air. I would not rule out the inevitable David Montgomery steals the touchdown game. Like if you told me he had 2 touchdowns on the day, putting him at like 18 to 20 points, I would not be surprised by that outcome.
Yeah.
That's what always scares me about David Montgomery, but in the way the Packers have been playing, I also respect the sit.
It's been a lot rougher of a go for Montgomery this year than it's been in the past, just because they've been leaning more on Gibbs than they ever have. I think since the knee injury last year, and they saw that Gibbs was so explosive, they've been a lot looser on the split. And because of that, you're getting a lot more bust games out of Montgomery, and he's been good when he's been scoring touchdowns, but he's been not good when he has. And I mean, even last week, good matchup against the Giants, 18 rush yards, 19 receiving yards, 5.2 points in half PPR. So in a bad matchup, it makes it really hard to want to play him.
No, I agree. I don't want to play him.
Yeah.
Maybe that's just more of a fair warning for the Gibbs owners because you're not benching him. Is this could be the Tyler Algier week to your Bijan, where Algier steals the 2 touchdowns and whatnot. So
I'm playing for a bye basically in the World Cup, and I've got Gibbs and Taylor both in bad matchups. So I'm sitting here hoping for the best, or hoping I just have a big Ladd McConkey game or something.
Ladd McConkey. Maybe we'll talk about him in a little bit, but not when we do streams. Which, are you ready to do those?
Yes, I am.
Man, I didn't even give myself enough time to find the bumper. I was trying to tee myself up.
I appreciate you trying. You're doing good, Cody.
Well, you start this one off.
Yes, I do. In our streams, we do a quarterback, a tight end, and a defense. We try to make them under 60% owned on NFL.com, so they're fairly widely available for you guys out there. My quarterback start is Trevor Lawrence versus the Titans. Great matchup for a guy who's had a decent floor so far, and it's been up and down, but I could see a solid 16, 18 points at Trevor Lawrence this week.
Yeah, Trevor Lawrence was going to be my guy, but then I saw that you had him.
Hey, actually looked.
Oh, yeah, I saw this one. I didn't see the Javonte Williams one. So I like he'd do my top stream of the week. I would pick him over the guy I'm about to mention. But because of the 60% threshold and no bye weeks, makes it really tough to find some people that you would play. And I don't even know if this would be one of those top 12 guys that I would play, but maybe someone's holding a couple quarterbacks and you have to. But Jacoby Brissett against the – why do I keep blanking on these team names? I should have wrote them down. I should have. That's on me. But Jacoby Brissett against the Buccaneers. They're really good against the run, but they have been susceptible with the pass in some situations. Especially if there's I expect Baker to play, but if he's not, that might give them a couple extra possessions. So I really like him. And then just an audible mention out there. It's not the greatest matchup, but check your waiver wire. CJ Stroud coming off the concussion after missing the last 2 weeks. I know at least on Sleeper, he's under 40% owned. So that could be a guy going up against the Colts if you need a spot start as well.
There's probably a couple other guys hanging out there that are still kind of working their way back up. I still don't mind Brock Purdy, who might not be fully owned, and he had a bad week last week, but just kind of keep an eye out for some names of guys who could be good down the stretch that if you don't need the win this week because you're solid in a playoff spot, maybe you go for matchups in the future, try to piece together two guys that you can play through the fantasy playoffs. Or you one of these guys maybe that has a good schedule down the stretch. And I think Jacoby Brissett's actually one of those guys where I understand Cody's skepticism for him not being one of those top 12 guys you want to play most weeks. But if he stays with the consistency he has, and he does have a lot of good matchups down the stretch, I don't think he's a bad guy to have on the tank.
Sorry, I'm getting distracted. As I was looking up some numbers, I realized in my one sleeper league, Dak Prescott was available at quarterback. 92% owned, but make sure you're checking your rosters. Had to pick him up quick.
So if you remember, I made the comment that I added Dak Prescott in the Couch Gems World Cup in my group. And then I also added Brock Purdy. I've since dropped Brock Purdy because somebody dropped Jaden Daniels, and I got a shot to have him in the fantasy playoffs now in some decent matchups. So ride Dak for 2 weeks, and then we see if Daniels comes back.
Yeah, check your waiver wires. You never know what might be out there.
Exactly. There's some interesting ones that have been happening. Actually, I just saw a league where somebody dropped Omarion Hampton at some point and didn't even notice it. So, yeah, check those guys coming off of injuries.
All right. Do your tight end.
My tight end. I finally found a way to include him in something. Taysom Hill is my wild tight end stream. And it's mostly because I know Devin Neal's the guy, and I know they're not good. Cody left and just left me with the overlay on top.
Bro, we are not talking about Taysom Hill and the lead of our Lord and Savior 2025.
He had 10 carries last week, and I get he's probably going to bust, and he busted last week at 10 carries for 17 yards. But the Saints need somebody to touch the ball, and there's a chance there's going to be volume, and normally he's pretty good at the goal line, so I wouldn't be shocked if he steals a touchdown. I don't really advocate it in most places, but with the state of the streaming tight end right now, part of me is if you are in that situation, take the shot.
Speechless.
You're welcome.
All right, I'll do mine. I'm going to Isaiah Likely as my wild tight end.
Has he done anything this year?
Nope.
Cool.
He hasn't.
And you talk about me.
But I at least have statistics to help back up my point.
I have history.
I wanted to pick Mark Andrews, but he's a little bit too owned for this situation.
No way.
But the Cincinnati Bengals give up so many points to the tight ends. Let me just read you some of their statistic lines. Let's start last week. Hunter Henry, 7 catches, 115 and a touchdown. Darnell Washington, the blocking guy for the Pittsburgh Steelers, 4 catches for 67 yards. Thankfully, week 10 was a bye, so they didn't have to guard any tight ends that week.
They probably lost to the tight end on bye week.
Remember Colston Loveland's breakout game? That was 6 catches for 118 yards and 2 touchdowns. How about Mason Taylor when we were talking about him back in week 8 because he went for 534 and a touchdown? Pat Frymuth, their first game against the Steelers, 5 for 111 and 2 touchdowns. Have we talked about him since? Nope.
No.
Tucker Kraft, only 2 for 43 and a touchdown, but 43 yards.
All tight end week.
Sam Laporta, 5 for 92 and a touchdown. Their best game against the tight end came in week 2. Brenton Strange had 3 catches for 17 yards, but that was after week 1's Harold Fanning, 7 catches for 63 yards. So I'm just saying the tight ends, they like to eat against the Cincinnati Bengals. And you talked about the ups and downs of Mark Andrews. Heck, it could be an Isaiah Likely week, so why the heck not?
I would love to see Isaiah Likely break out. You actually do have some proof where backup tight ends have broken out. And I mean, it is the Ravens. Tight ends could happen to be involved any given week. So I don't hate it, but I still think it's a bit of a stretch. I do love Mark Andrews, though. You maybe really love the pick of Mark Andrews as your first flex in the World Cup.
Yeah, he's locked and loaded. It's really just down to, am I going to go Juwan Jennings for a third tight end? And I might.
Let me know how that goes, because I am very curious if you have 3 tight ends and if you somehow pull off a win. That is just funny to me.
Yeah, there's a part of me that just wants to do it because YOLO.
Yeah. Are you locked in a playoff spot?
Probably not, but who cares?
You got to be at least close to. 2 weeks left. I know you're in a playoff spot currently, at least.
Hang on, I gotta check my record. I don't know.
While you do that, I'll move on to defenses. And I'm going to go Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I know Arizona has been decent on offense, but still it is considered a green matchup. And the nice thing about the Buccaneers is great schedule left. They have 1 neutral game and all positive matchups otherwise. They have Arizona, New Orleans, Atlanta, Carolina, and Miami to finish off the season. So there's a chance you can add them here and ride them through the fantasy playoffs. And right now, I think they're defense 16, but I think they have a solid chance to finish around defense 10 at the end of the year.
Yeah, I like them a lot. I'm going to go with my defense. And for the World Cup, yes, I am locked into a playoff spot. I still have a shot at a bye, but I am locked into a playoff spot. I need help for the bye, though. I'm 8-4. Anyways, my defense. I'm going with the Los Angeles Chargers this week as they face, what did I say, the Carolina Panthers? Is that what I said earlier?
Yep.
Whew. No, the Las Vegas Raiders. Even better.
See, that shows me they're saying yep while I'm in the chat.
So that's where I'm going to go with. I also want to throw an honorable mention out there. Okay. And maybe I'm just in a giving mood because it's the time of season that we are in. You know, Thanksgiving, holidays, whatnot. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually just heard someone bring this up. I believe it was the fantasy footballers. So I want to give them the credit because they at least opened my eyes to looking at this one. But can I interest you in the New Orleans Saints as a potential DST? Now, see, I knew the instant reaction, because when they brought this up, I was like, bro, what are we talking about the New Orleans Saints for? Okay. Now, what if I told you they're currently defense 16? So at least they're in the top half.
Okay. I mean, I think they're right around where the Buccaneers are, so that's fair.
Okay. Now, what if I told you that when the New Orleans Saints, so they have when they're in bad matchups like the Rams, the Seattle Seahawks, the 49ers, they don't have great games.
Fair.
When they have green matchups like the Cardinals in week 1, that's 8 fantasy points. The Cardinals last week was 12. The Giants earlier this season was 18. They get Miami this week, so if you want to stream them for this week, that's fine. But let me just tell you their fantasy football playoff schedule. All green matchups: Carolina, New York Jets, Tennessee Titans. Just saying, could be a sneaky. I agree with them now. They got me buying the juice. I'm now sharing the juice with you. New Orleans Saints could be a sneaky playoff fantasy defense. Heard it first at the Fantasy Footballers. Just in case they're wrong, that's where I heard it. But
if they're right, you said it and you got it.
Exactly. You know how this works. Shout out them, the GOATs.
I like it. They are the GOATs. Props to them for finding the trend, and it makes a lot of sense. So, sure, if you're trying to set up for the rest of the season, I mean, I think you said they have a decent matchup this week too. So, go out, give it a shot.
Did we do this fan question?
We did not, and I was about to get to it, so that's perfect. All right, Neil on YouTube. Aaron Jones, Travis Etienne, Breece Hall, Ashton Genty, Tet Lamb, Devontae Smith, Wan'Dale Robinson. We need 2 running backs, 2 receivers, and a flex.
Well, Etienne's a lock at running back.
Agreed.
Despite the 9.5 drops last week, Lamb is a lock at wide receiver.
9.5. Okay, how do you get a half a drop?
I don't know. It was just bad.
Okay.
The Devonta Smith, I'm going to assume he misses. It's kind of where I feel like it leans. So I'm going to take him off the board. I think you still got to roll with Breece Hall as running. No, probably Genty.
I was going to say I'm going Genty as my RB2. So Etienne and Genty.
Breece has a much better matchup, though.
We have a flex as well.
Okay, yeah. So,
and I don't think I'm not buying the Wan'Dale juice. So I'm thinking going 3 running backs, 2 receivers, and I would go Lamb and Tet, and then Etienne, Hall, and Genty.
Does Wan'Dale interest you at all if Dart's back?
Honestly, he was better with Jameis.
Yeah, I guess you're right. I guess we're not chasing the points, the 21.6 from last week.
I mean, he had boom games before that too. He's just been inconsistent. And I think like we talked earlier, Tet's got a solid floor and still has boom potential.
So we're going Etienne, Breece Hall, as the 2 running backs, Genty as the flex, or if you want to switch them around, that's fine. I don't care. And then Lamb and Tet.
Yeah, that's what I'm going with at least, yeah.
Devonta Smith plays. Does he get in your lineup over any of the running backs or Tet?
I think I'm sticking with the 5 we said.
I agree.
Cool. Sorry, does RJ Harvey change anything to that?
No, I'd play him.
I'm just checking that matchup. Sorry. I don't think it does either.
Yeah. Well, and I think we're split. Like, I'm playing Breece Hall against the Falcons. You said you'd play Genty as the guy. So, like, for me, you're looking Breece Hall versus RJ Harvey. I'm looking Genty, and I think we're both going to end up sticking with those 3.
Yeah, I'm still sticking with those 3. It is a great matchup. It's Washington for RJ Harvey. But I mean, he hasn't done enough in the lead back role yet for me to be like 100% lock if I have another option that's been solid. So, and I would say Hall's all the Jets have, and you said it's a good matchup. And then Genty, as much as I have been trying to find ways to plug and play Genty, I think you're better off rolling with him.
All right. Then Kenan over on YouTube. Did I win this trade? I traded away Javonte, Brock Bowers, and Troy Flanken to get JT, Gatson, and Sutton. Yes.
Getting JT, I think, alone helps you with that win.
But now you have JT, Jacobs, Kyron. Then you have the backups of Emmanuel Wilson and Corum. Then your wide receivers are JSN, Lamb, Sutton, Watts. Yeah, solid.
Very solid. Yeah.
That was a good move.
I mean, I think Cody and I were talking on Monday of like guys you might want on your team for the fantasy playoffs, and 2 of those 3 that we really highlighted were JT and JSN. So you're sitting good.
for sure.
And then we didn't even mention Lamb, and Lamb can go off at any point. So that's good.
And you have the Texans D, who have 2 people with sacks over 10 already on the season. So that's solid. Fire Bros on YouTube. We like Brissett, Burrow, or Nix, and follow up 3 wide receivers pick Tet, Shakur, Wandale, Nico, and Michael Wilson. Thanks in advance. I think I like. Let's start with the quarterback one. I want to say Burrow because it's his first game back.
And the matchup's not bad.
The matchup's not bad. I do think Denver versus Washington might give me the edge of a wait and see with Bo Nix. But Burrow tends to do well against the Ravens, so I think I have to say him.
Bo is hard to read. Like, he plays a good matchup against Dallas, gets 23. He plays a bad matchup against Houston, gets 18. He plays a perfect matchup against Vegas, gets 5.
Yeah, he's currently QB 10 on the season. I think I'm going to still roll with Bo. I'd put it Burrow, Nix, Brissett, even though Brissett was my stream of the week. But I would put
both of those guys, are over stream level. I want to say Nix, but I'm going to say go for it and go Burrow. I'll go with you.
All right. And then 3 wide receiver picks, Tet, Shakur, Wandale, Nico, Michael Wilson. So for me, Nico and Tet are locks.
Agreed. I won't lean Shakur outside of that just because he's one of my starts, but I kind of want to say Michael Wilson if there's no Marv. If there is Marv, I'd go Shakur.
I think I still like Shakur over Michael Wilson, but I get what you're saying. If no Marv, I'd probably...
Wilson's gotten so many targets without Marv that I almost think you can't sit him. I think it was 18 and then 14 or something ridiculous like that.
Yes.
But if Marv comes back, I have to think that goes down, and then I'd go Shakur.
All right. And then over on Twitch.
What's up, Twitch?
Nico, Sutton. Man, a lot of people with the Sutton questions.
And Nico, honestly, last few.
And Wandale.
Okay.
Washington, Malik Washington.
Yeah.
Or Dortch or Wandale start 3.
That is also, just to note, a return league at 0.1 per 10 yards on returns.
I'd probably still go. I think Nico and Sutton are locks. And then it's one. I'm probably going to, in this case, I might try to chase the points with Wandale. I get the return with like Malik and Dortch, but
it's hard for me not being in a league that does return yardage because it's not something we really follow day to day. I'm going to be totally honest. Like, how much that really impacts. Malik Washington's been a little involved on offense too, which helps, but not a whole lot. So, yeah, my initial gut is Nico, Sutton, Wandale. I think I would look at Malik Washington as the next guy if returns really do matter that much, just because Dortch has been good again without Marv, but especially if Marv's back, I think Dortch falls down to 3/4.
Yeah, I mean, Malik Washington has 662 return yards on the season, so I get the interest there, but I'm going to go Wandale.
Yeah, so I'll agree. Nico, Sutton, and Wandale.
All right, I don't know where we left off on streams. I think we
were done, so I think we are on to our little special for the Thanksgiving episode. Even though we're long, we're going to do a Thanksgiving DFS lineup.
Sweet, but we got to do games of the week first.
Oh, we do.
And I have a bumper for that.
Oh, wow.
I forgot.
Yes, you do. You also don't have your game of the week on the rundown, so I'm going to be surprised that you gave us 4 honorable mentions first.
Atlanta at New York. Oh, this is not which game are you least looking forward to? My bad.
I was about to say, what are you talking about?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I honestly think the Thanksgiving slate is really good this year.
Yeah.
and I think it leaves for a pretty subpar. If you want to throw the Friday game in there, I would take the 4 games not on Sunday than the whole Sunday slate combined. But give me, for my game of the week, Minnesota at Seattle, the Sam Darnold revenge game. Seattle's playing really good. Minnesota has been up and down, but maybe we could see what Mike Boxmer does. So I'll throw that out there as a potential one. But this it's a tough Sunday slate. Enjoy your food, enjoy your football feel on Thursday.
Enjoy your post-shopping coma football on Friday too.
And hang out with your wife on Sunday.
There you go. How about that? The weekend of family. On Sunday, the best game that I was able to point out was Bills at Steelers. Obviously, Steelers trying to fight the fall. We might get Rodgers back. They are now in danger, especially if you end up seeing the Ravens win that game on Thursday. It might go panic mode Steelers. In a tough matchup against the Bills, who obviously they're fighting for a wild card too. Like, the Patriots are so far ahead right now that if they want any shot to get up in that division, they have to be perfect the rest of the way out. And they have to make sure they're not falling down to the Wolves because, like, Steelers on the edge of the playoffs, only 1 game behind Buffalo.
Yeah, I'll throw one more out there. Like typical, can't just stick with one. I'll say Houston with the Colts. The Colts have struggled. They lost last week. The Texans are only 2 games back if they can make some ground by winning this one, divisional matchup. So I'll throw that as an honorable mention.
I like it. Are you ready to jump into some DFS? Something we don't do every week anymore.
Yeah, let's do it.
For those of you in the chat, if you want to play against us in a DFS lineup, I'm going to, while I pull up my lineup here, give you guys the link to join us on DraftKings. If you have it as a free league drop, so it is open to the public, there is 200 entries. There's already some people just randomly joining from the general public. But if you want to play against Cody and I in a DFS lineup with the 3 Thanksgiving games, I'll drop it in the chat I put it on YouTube for everybody.
It'll be in the description of this podcast when it gets dropped, but because it is open to the public, it might be filled by then.
So a little nugget for you guys that are listening in live. All right, Cody. So I set this up as
Thursday only.
Thursday only. So we got 3 games. We're doing the traditional lineup of quarterback, 2 running back, 3 receiver, tight end, flex defense.
All right. You want me to start?
Yeah, and we'll go position by position. Go ahead and start.
All right. So I originally had in my quarterback slot Jordan Love. Then I finished my lineup and I had $500 left. So I was like, YOLO, let's make it Joe Burrow.
That rhymed. That was good. It didn't actually rhyme, but it sounded like it did.
I'm taking Joe Burr.
Burr. Well, it's not quite Burr outside yet, but I mean, if that game goes anything like the games last year,
it is Burr outside. I don't know what you're talking about. It's cold.
It is gonna be like 60 degrees.
Where's that Buffalo game?
Yeah, it's probably lake effect snow.
No, there's lake effect snow in Buffalo this weekend.
Yeah.
Nice.
We're in that season. I originally started my lineup with Jordan Love as well, but I decided to keep him and spend my money elsewhere, so my quarterback is Jordan Love.
Okay.
It is Toyotathon, everybody, by the way.
It is Toyotathon. I thought about keeping Jordan and just losing the $500, but I ended with a 0 balance. You don't do that every time. Running back. Staying in the same game. Going against that Ravens defense. Going Derrick Henry.
He's not in my RB1 spot, but he's in my RB2. I'll also say I went with Derrick Henry. It was too juicy of a matchup for a guy who's been warming it up. And if they start to learn how to score on the goal line like they did last week, and he starts getting goal line touchdowns, Derrick Henry's going to be right back to how he was last year. And
he was $1,500 less than the top guy in Jahmyr Gibbs, and I thought that made it even better value.
Definitely. Hey, guys, your other running back.
Oh, I'm going to say I got Kareem Hunt as my RB2.
Not worried about Pacheco? Or just trying to find value?
Value, one of my lower spenders. I spent up for wide receiver tees.
Gotcha. I spent up for running back, and I got the top 2. So not only did I get Henry, I also spent up on Jahmyr Gibbs.
Interesting. Okay. to the wide receiver spot. If I got Joe, I got to have Jamar. So I got Jamar Chase.
So that's where you spent up there. But I actually worked the rest of my lineup that I also have Jamar Chase.
All right. Interesting where you go next.
Yeah.
For my second wide receiver, I have Amon-Ra St. Brown. The Packers are a little banged up. Keyshawn Nixon might not play. Nate Hobbs might not play. So banged up on the corner. Amon-Ra has been the death of them the last couple of years. I'm playing him.
Okay. I never found a way to fit Amon-Ra in my lineup because I spent so much on running backs, but I went with the potential now wide receiver 1 in Green Bay, and it had Christian Watson.
That is my wide receiver 3.
There we go. But you've known I've spent a lot of money so far, so I had to go budget somewhere, and I didn't go with Ishibash. I went with Mitch Tinsley. $3,500.
No, that's not bad. It's not bad at all.
It's, I mean, when you're spending the money and getting the studs, you just gotta try to find the one guy you hope breaks out. So if he ends up having a game like he did in the second half last week, and even if he ends up scoring around like 8 to 10 points, like it was worth it for the value.
And then at tight end, or you have one more wide receiver.
No, I had Chase, Tinsley, and Watson. So
all right, cool. Then tight end, I have Mark Andrews.
I also have Mark Andrews. I even before you convinced me even more on the show that this is such a great Mark Andrews matchup, like I had already just thrown in Mark Andrews.
He was the second person I picked. Love was the first because I thought it was the best quarterback value, and then I picked Mark Andrews. So
because again, a great quarterback, a great tight end value there. Yeah.
All right, at the flex spot. This goes with my start of the week at flex, taking the flyer on Xavier Worthy against that Dallas Cowboys defense.
Okay. I mean, you double down on it. I appreciate you doubling down on that take. I went with another person in that Cincinnati-Baltimore game against that not-so-great Cincinnati defense. I went Zay Flowers. I'm hoping we're finally going to see the breakout Zay Flowers game and not the traditional every week he gets 10 Zay Flowers game.
And then on defense, I didn't really care who I got left with because I don't think any of these are great matchups. But I got the Kansas City Chiefs, so...
I spent too much money to even get the Chiefs, so I went flip side and went with the lowest one into the Cowboys. I'm going to hope that that game is a little bit lower scoring because I honestly don't have anybody else in that game. So that's the one that gets the hype. And in my mind, I'm like, for DFS, I hope it ends 17-10 and there's a couple interceptions.
Alrighty, well, that will be our DFS lineups. That'll be the end of this show. As always, we hope you have a fantastic Thanksgiving. Enjoy a lot of food. And if you've been a long-time listener, I've asked this question to George, I think every year now on Thanksgiving, is macaroni and cheese a Thanksgiving side?
Yes.
Now it is. When we did the draft, it wasn't. See, I don't know how to react with him.
As I get older, I appreciate the little things more, and mac and cheese is one of those. And I also think it helps that my nephews are on your side because not only do they want mac and cheese at Thanksgiving, the biggest one, like my family celebrates Christmas on Christmas Eve, and as they got old enough, their one request was always, we want mac and cheese. So I think it's kind of worked into the holidays as the years have gone on.
No, we finally got him. Now we just got him to fully embrace his Chargers fandom.
I'm a Chargers fan. I don't know what you're talking about.
One day you'll be thankful that I keep playing that bumper, but that is not today. But it is now time to wrap up.
I'm thankful for you anyway, Cody.
I appreciate it. All right, I'm going to wrap up the Couch GMs episode on this Wednesday edition before Thanksgiving. Hope you have a great holiday. We'll try to answer them. Enjoy the Friday game as well. Make sure those guys are not in your flex spots so you're all set for the Sunday slate. We'll be back on Monday, live, 6:30, Thursday later that week. Follow us on social media at Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, X, all those good places. I'm Cody Roadcap. That's George Kurth. We'll talk to you all next week.